Hi, my name's Mckeegan. I'm the Creative Director of a digital company based over in Manchester in the UK. Digitex is a family business. It was established in 2003 and it's now an esteemed, innovative digital print company serving customers worldwide. Awards include the Best Product from the British Interior Design Awards that was presented by Barbara Chandler back in 2005 when we were very right at the beginning when we first embraced this technology and started to work with it. And then a couple of years ago, 2012, we won the Northern Design Awards for an amazing collection of trompe-l'oeil wallpapers that we did for the marketplace. Okay. So, the Digitex Group, we specialise mainly, I'd say 80%, in bespoke digital print. We print for many different types of customers, a huge amount of contract work, retail work, dealing directly with independents where we actually design, print, manufacture products, or we may design them, they may design them. Our studio is utilised an awful lot in this process. And we also design and create for the domestic market. So we deal direct with the public and direct with students and colleges and unis and things all over the place. Primarily unis in the UK. So we serve interiors, so that could be wallpaper, that could be blinds, that could be voiles, that could be curtains. We also serve fashion, huge emerging market. I don't think there's anyone that comes out of uni anymore these days that doesn't know what digital is, and they utilise that technology right from the very start. They've all got it in the unis and they come straight out. Huge amount of fashion, a huge amount of conventional textiles, lots of wallpaper, and a massive bureau as well for people to use. Okay. So, the digital revolution has changed the textile industry in many ways. But I just thought, now that everybody knows what digital is, maybe just have one little slide that goes back, not too far back, just to look at where we are now compared to where we were. So let's have a look backwards. Okay, I think when I first started in textiles, which is 20 years ago, everything was rotary. Huge factories churning out massive volumes, huge amounts of print using rotary screens. Rotary screens are expensive. They're copper, they have to be engraved. Prior to that, you have to separate. And in between that process, before you get to rotary, you've got to mini sample. So you have to cut onto silk screens and then print and do all of your colourways with those. When a buyer used to come in, we used to buy designs, the buyer would come in, it would take 3 months at least to get to a print. So it was expensive, it still is expensive. It takes a long time to set up. It's a lot quicker to set up now, and it's a lot quicker to get to rotary, of course, because we've all got CAD technology, so we all use Photoshop, etc., to speed up the whole thing. But this really very much was through the 80s, 70s, 80s, the last 200 years really. And the 80s and 90s typify it most really. This was mass production. This was hundreds of thousands of meters in the days when it was really easy and a great selling design would print 1 million meters, one colourway. Unfortunately that doesn't happen anymore. We've changed. But rotary still remains the most cost-effective method for printing anything over 300 meters. If you're going to print high volumes of whether it's for fashion, furnishings or interiors, the costs involved in digital still at this point, if you're not only doing low meterages, it's cheaper to go to rotary. Okay, so here we go. So with rotary, designers are limited by the screen costs. When I was working in the studios, 8 or 10 colours, that was your maximum. You get up to 12, you're adding money all the time. I mean, there are beautiful Sanderson 18 colour prints out there, but they cost a fortune. Lots of problems. So patterns would then have to be colour separated, sample printed, and then eventually thousands of meters of print produced, which also would then have to be stocked and stored. So the market's changed. We don't consume as much print by the metre anymore. We prefer to buy frequently. You can see that with the stores. And we refresh trends as they emerge. the buyers, whether they're for interior or fashion, and these days they are actually seamless. What you see on the high street, you'll see as a wallpaper, you'll see as a curtain, you'll see on a sofa, you'll see on a cushion. People wear what they put in their homes. It really is as close as that these days. But the magic word, I think, is probably reduced stock. There's no stock with digital. In our factory, we hold a huge, huge, huge archive of grey. So we have stocks of the fabrics, but we do not have stocks of print. Okay, and along with that, it's really opened up the market for designers to become manufacturers and brand owners themselves. So we have a new marketplace for bespoke, tailor-made, and a new breed of designer manufacturers. And I think you'll agree that you'll see lots of those people trading on things like Etsy and Amazon, etc., etc. Anybody can go out there now and produce and make their own stuff, which for designers like me and the people that we help get through is great. That's how they can emerge. Okay, so I've got a couple of slides showing some of the things that we do. One of the things that we're trying to do is to make sure that you design for the creativity that the digital process offers you. So we don't try to, well, if I'm designing myself, if you look at the panel over on the left, it's a wallpaper that changes bottom to top, actually using digital in a very, very creative format. So we use lots of different techniques, lots of different layers, all sorts of special effects. And here, these are all wallpapers. Let's have a look, what's the next slide? Okay, so the market sectors again. Fashion, huge, and I'd say that's the one that's growing the quickest and the fastest. It's our numbers on that, it just, every year it builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. It's very fast, it's very reactive, and it's very seasonal. Interior retailers and designers, quite interesting. Interior retailers need to produce capsule collections to update their stores continually, and quite often we do quite a lot for smaller independents and stores like John Lewis, etc., where they'll just buy in a huge job lot, print that, and then it's never seen again. So then you've got designer makers, craft industries, lots of people who are, well, maybe design trained or might not be design trained. They might just be people who like to draw at home, and they'll bring us their art, whatever it is, and they'll create little mini ranges, cushions, presents, gifts, whatever. A very labour-intensive side of the market. These people take up an awful lot of time, but they are there and very well served by companies who can do the whole thing online, so you're not taking phone calls with these people all of the time. And then the last one there are the architects and the specifiers. What this technology has done is allowed them to have a unique selling point. In the past, they'd have to go out and trawl the high street, trawl the Chelsea Harbour, and look for fabrics that, to be honest, everybody can get. All the interior designers have got them, they just have to buy the books, etc., etc. But now for architects and specifiers, they quite often work with the graphics industry to badge buildings, to brand buildings. We've done huge, huge blue chip buildings where the architects and the designers work together to take on the ethos of the company and then display that visually in a very bespoke way. It's done once and that's it. When they launch something new, they'll come back, they'll change walls inside the building, so it's nice, it's good business. Okay, so you've got companies here, I can't probably say names, but you've got huge companies. We also do an awful lot of in-store retail graphics using textiles. This very much used to be, as you know, a kind of PVC market, but we do a massive amount of fire retardant textiles for stores. Top right, that's just a little cameo of some of the bits and pieces that we do in and around the fashion industry. And again, if you look at the fashion industry and how the designers there have embraced digital, we do lots of all-over prints, but there's an awful lot of printing and designing out there where they take on the whole outfit and they design it so that it changes all the way along and makes it a very unique piece, and again, something that could not be created conventionally. I think that's a very key area. And here on the right hand side here you see where somebody's using the digital to brand everything all together, so you've really got there's no accident as to where you end up, and you certainly know where you are when you end up in the bagel street hut. Okay, so design studios, they've changed too. So the designers are now highly skilled creatives using multi software programs, from Photoshop to Illustrator to InDesign, and lots of bespoke programs along the way as well. AVA for using colour. You can see the speed, creating prints in hours, not months. It's amazing how quickly a creative can actually get out there and produce fabrics and wallpapers. And because of that, they react to trends really quickly. Something can come into the studio, go out the next day. This is quite impossible. And they'll react to trends and consumer needs very, very quickly. So for the designer and for the creative, once again, you've got your creative freedom back, really. You can be as innovative as you want. At the end of the day, digital and computers, CAD is just a tool. And in a fast-paced, moving environment, the designer has actually got much, much, much more time now to be creative, so they're much more productive, and hopefully you'll see that in the buoyancy of the market as well, in that everything that's generated is much more interesting, and that should be good. Okay, these are just a few of the prints that we've done in the studio. This is a new collection that's just been launched. We also produce our own collections and our own fabrics on a wide, vast variety for primarily the interiors market. We don't really service, the studio doesn't service them with the fashion with images. But here what you can see is we've taken old antique textile documents and we've upscaled them. A lot of them have been in the family for a very long time actually. So we've just reworked them, tweaked them, and used them very much to display what digital can do. If you come into our showroom, we kind of use our own creativity to give other people ideas, and they'll come in and you see the one on the left, Chelsea, that's blown up on a canvas which is about 3 meters high by 2 meters wide in really high resolution, and it looks amazing. And that gives people ideas of how they can use digital for public spaces and branding. Okay, on the top right, that's a toile, and that's the garden toile. And again, that's huge. The repeat on that is like 94 centimeters. It's absolutely massive, and it creates an amazing concept when you see it used in an interior. So, what can you do? You can react to trends in real time. We quite often digitize storyboards and we share information freely. We're a very open studio. So if somebody's working with us with our trend presentations, we keep an eye on everything that's new, everything that's coming through. And we produce digitized storyboards which share with all of our customers. Lots of universities and things like that as well. I personally do a lot of mentoring with universities because they don't get the training that they need these days, and they certainly manage to come out of university and don't know how to put this into repeat. So we do a lot of work with them, mentoring. The other thing, of course, that you can do is you can do things globally. So you can design on screen, you can share that screen with somebody anywhere in the world. You can approve colour in the same way, and you can change and amend designs as well. So instead of having a whole diary schedule full of meetings to go in and just tweak things and mess around, we're all much more productive. You can email, they can scribble and email it back. You can do it on shared screens all over the world. So it saves absolutely hours. Okay, here are a few of our trend boards, which these are 2014s, just 3 of them, which show emerging trends. So you may or may not agree with some of them, but what you can see in amongst all of those trends is very much a digital flavour. You can see on the top right you've got paint explosions, chaotic collage, lots of watercolour, and hopefully take on board what I said earlier about designers and creatives creating objects that you could only create digitally, and that then hopefully gives them a unique product to take to market. It makes them much more competitive. Lots of floral studies, and a lot of metallic over on the left, but we can't quite print metallic yet. Here again, these are some of my own collections, a historic collection that I've just done. The panel on the right hand side, that's a wallpaper panel, but it's 125 wide, and it's 3 meters high, and then it repeats together. When I had the artwork drawn up for those, we created a design that you can see in the middle. Then we created lots of coordinates that go with it. So it was conceived with a digital output in mind, so that you could actually just take it wherever it needed to go. And that's a few more there. You can see it on the right as a fabric. And again, creating lots of fairy effects, really, things that you could do in normal screens, but not so quickly. Okay, so what have we got? I think the biggest thing you've got with digital print from a creative's point of view is that you've escaped mass production. Totally. You don't have to produce something that you're going to print 1 million meters of anymore, which is great. So for me, it's great. Here again, the Secret Garden, some more collections, bits and pieces. I'm sorry. And I hope you can see on the right hand side here you've got High Grove again blown up to a massive size, creating a very, very interesting interior. On the bottom left you can see that's Isabella, that's a beautiful watercolour floral, but it doesn't have a plain ground, it has a dip dye. So it's saturated with colour at the bottom, and it just gradually goes up to nothing, gradually goes up to white, and creates a very interesting surface effect. Okay, so all of that saves for the creative and for the industry, saves lots of time and ultimately lots of money. But no waste. Sorry. To sample things in the studio, we work with a small printer, and when we like it, we'll send it down to the shop floor and do some R&D. And the other thing that's great is you have no unsold stock. So when we're printing bespoke, you don't have a warehouse sat there. And if you do have stock, you don't have a lot of it because you can print very, very quickly. Okay, here you can see that's a Dutch painting blown up as a huge, really pretty wallpaper. And it just creates some amazing, amazing visual effects. I mean, I produce lots of these things for one of our websites, digitexhome.com, where we sell direct to retail. And it's really great every now and again to get a client that sends you back a picture of what they did with your print. And we had a really great guy from New Zealand who had taken that wallpaper, but he hadn't put it on the wall, he put it on his kitchen. And he happened to live in the most beautiful house with a huge glass box and some pretty amazing scenery. It's nice. You know, it really is a fantastic product for creatives. Here, I hope you can see, I've tried to show it, the amount of detail that you capture with the digital print process. In the past, what you'd had to do is give your artwork to a colour separation artist and hope that they could copy and mimic in all the different layers and separations, and something like that you'd need 24. Because you've got so many layers of pink, so many layers of purple, so many layers of orange. But digital, it doesn't make any difference. It's, thank you. It's one print. It's 16.7 million colours. It's no cheaper if you print two. It's no more expensive if you've got as many as you need in there. It prints at the same speed. That head's got to go back, reload, and come back. It makes absolutely no difference to the costings tool. It does affect the ink costs, but not the actual speed of manufacture, which is good news for us. Okay, skills. It's quite an interesting point, this. Skills, textiles are not easy. Textiles are tactile. They shrink, they move. They're sensitive to humidity, they're sensitive to everything that happens to them along the journey from the field to our factory. Understanding textile technology, therefore, is absolutely critical. We've built some of our own machinery, and we finish and coat all of our own fabrics. So the only bit that's changed for us in our little factory, I'm sure it's different for everybody, but in our factory the only thing that's changed is the printing. The back end of it is our textile heritage, which in the UK, I hope you'll all agree, was very, very strong. So we have some people that have worked with us for 30 or 40 years who have embraced digital and everything that it offers, but they still need to know what they're doing. They still need to understand textiles and all the different fabrics and how a silk behaves compared to a poplin, compared to a linen, and they have to change the process all the way through to achieve a perfect product. You don't put the silk through anything like the same manufacturing as you would do with a linen. And also at the other end, we have to add various things as well to create the handle that the client might want. They might want they might want quite a strong silk, or they might want it to be lovely and softy and floaty. So you have to change the chemistry. We have to do that too. So it isn't in any way, shape, it isn't just printing. Printing is part of the process, but it's not the biggest part. Okay, some more of my collections. Here you can see the dip dye toile, hopefully on the left. That did very, very well for us. Okay, also, I don't think you can see it in these slides, but I was hoping to show the amount of tonal range that you can get in digital print as well, which again, we used to use gravure screens for etc., or very, very fine rotary screens, but again, they were very, very expensive. When the digital machine prints, it prints what you give it. So I can put as much texture and as much tone, continuous tone, into my artwork as I like. If you look at the Woburn, which is the one on the right-hand side, that has the most amazing watercolour wash going through the back of it, and it's very, very, very fine. and it prints at the same speed as a 2-colour. Okay, that was the Townhouse collection. Where are we next? So, printing demands skill and training. We have fabric technologists, people who really understand and have a lifetime's heritage of fabric. We have very strong quality control at every single part of the process. Colour management, huge issue. I could do a whole talk for 2 days on that one. Colour management, incredibly important. If you don't get that right in the industry, forget it, you're out there. If you can't match what somebody gives you, you're out of it. It's not exact science, it changes all the time. What happens on some of the fabrics, if you get a cotton in that's, it might be optically treated with UV, or it might be a natural, that's going to change the colour. You have to create a profile for each of the fabrics that you print on, and you have to understand the software that your customers are using. I mean, to be honest, most of our customers generally send files that they've created in Photoshop, a massive amount. Very, very few separated files, mainly Photoshop files really. But then you always have the problem, well, how did they look at it? What did their screen look like? Did they have the screen set to bright, or were they looking at it in a darkened room? What are their expectations? So quite often we will do a paper print, which will simulate what they're going to get in production, and we'll sample for them. And we always encourage all of our customers to pay for sample prints, because it just takes out of the loop that misunderstanding of what did they see at home, what did they see in their industry, and then when they get it, they'll say that's not right. Well, there is kind of no right. It's your own perception. So sampling is absolutely key, as is finishing. Very, very, very important that the finishing routes are strong, so that you take the fabric from when it's been printed, we put it through a machine that's about 20 metres long, and it takes it in continually, it washes it, it steams it, it washes it, and then it straightens it, because quite often with a fabric, with a cotton, what will happen is when it gets wet, it tries to go back to where it was. So unfortunately, it might not have been straight. So if you wet it, its warp and weft will try and shrink back. So we have to, on the jigs, we have to actually straighten it back up as we heat it on the calendar, so that it comes out the other end a beautifully lovely straight fabric for somebody to use. And equally, you also have to do the same thing when we pre-coat our fabrics. Otherwise, you'll put bent fabrics in, print them, and then you wet them, and then you print and will skew all over the place. So it really is a very technical process. Where else are we up to now? So digital print, it's still slow. It's still very, very slow. Labour costs are high per metre. Ink is still expensive, but falling. That's good. It's falling massively. And as prices fall, so the competition grows, and that's great, because that shows us all we've got a really an emerging marketplace, which is what we all want to know. But competition is high, and there are people out there, particularly abroad, who will digitally print for next to nothing. So they don't put much margin in it. So that means that everybody has to be incredibly careful of their costings and keep things as tight as possible. Okay, this was the wallpaper collection that we won some design awards for a couple of years ago, and again using digital and the digital process to create things which you can't do conventionally. We have an amazing collection of beautiful concretes and trompe-l'oeil things which quite often get picked up by our clients to use in urban and commercial environments. Lots of woods and all sorts of stuff. And the other thing that you probably notice is that we're quite skilled in rendering as well, and we do this for clients, because it's one thing to wave a paper print, or one thing to wave a fabric. To actually map that fabric onto a dress or into an interior will sell it without the cost of expensive photography. It costs nothing, it's just time, that's all it is, but you will get the sale if you're a design studio. So, that's it. I started in this technology in the late 1980s, pre-Photoshop, and have used computers ever since. And I've watched this whole technology emerge and been involved in it the whole time. And it really is, for a designer, it's fantastic. It's just ticks all the boxes. It's the most brilliant technology, and it's going to change a hell of a lot over the next 4 or 5 years. And I think the future's bright. The future's bright again for creatives, which is good. So hopefully all of those designers that churn out of all the universities year after year after year, there's more jobs for them. There's more jobs for creatives again in our industry. And on that note, there's a lot more freelance work available within the industry as well for people, and I'm sure you'll agree with that. And that's it, actually, I think. So thank you for your time. If anybody has any questions, I'm totally happy to answer any questions if that was the case.